Okay. There we are. Beard on fleek. Can't even see me. Welcome to Beyond Clarity. Can you believe this? It is 5 after 5 p.m. here in Wisconsin and around freezing. I'm just showing you my face here so you know that it's me. This isn't a recording. I'm gonna be walking around tonight, moving around. So you're the type of person that has to sit there and see someone the whole time they're talking. This may not be for you. So if you want to listen, be my guest. Welcome home. I just went live with Kenny Simmons on Transmutation Ministry. Okay, speaking of the saint, just entered here. I'm going for a walk right now. Got some Christmas decorations up. The feeling of not wanting to go live was there. Oh, it's too dark out. It's only 5 p.m. here in Wisconsin. I'm tired. I don't know what to say. And I drank some water. I reset myself. But that's okay because I'm still doing it. And thinking about the topic today, the subject, the heading, the title, and like Kenny, he's always got these great ideas when it comes to titles. And I'm going to give Raphael out of Madison, Wisconsin, who's in California right now with our IMC Nation members, a shout out because he tagged me in the photograph that you'll see on my Facebook account about if everything is like frequency and vibration or sound and vibration, be the DJ of your own existence. So I switched existence for party to get the YouTube algorithm, get more people to like it and click it. Because one thing I learned about marketing when I was staffing with Captain Chris for a few years before I got let go because I wasn't showing up and perhaps I was holding myself back because I wanted Captain Chris to be the star. Look at Chris, don't look at me. And then Chris was like, Jacob of Captain Chris, by the way. Chris was like, hey, TK, when are you gonna do what I'm doing? I'm like, what? No, no, I don't want to do that. I try to do it. I'm like, oh, this is weird. And that was the plan, actually. I was to find a replacement for me to staff with Captain Chris, Enlightened Masculinity, and man, I learned so much. And I did find a replacement, a good replacement, mind you. Shout out to Jeremiah, IMC Nation, also a police officer, protecting and serving. And this is my kind of guy right here, Mr. Grinch. But you know what? I'm not Mr. Grinch this year because I would drink myself to I would drink myself stupid during the holidays, and it's not this time. ATD process, cold showers, and boy, you think the water is cold by you. Try a cold shower during freezing temperature. Whatever's going on in your life at that time, you're not thinking about it. So back to what I was saying, I find a replacement for me, an even better one in my opinion, in my fact. But I don't go. I still want to stay. I still like something about meeting up with the team and seeing all the behind the scenes and helping out. And most of the time, like I wasn't there because I was driving for my previous job and I just like wasn't there mentally 100%, because I was focusing and driving, but also like listening. I still like was holding myself back. And I was like, finally, Chris just probably got sick of it and it's just let me go. I ain't nothing wrong. And I took that as like time to move on. Same analogy when I tried backing out and coming down to my first beast camp. I was second guessing myself, it's a lot of money to invest. And it's like I knew what was going to become of me and what I was going to have to do. And Chris kind of gave me the nudge, like the mama bird nudging the baby bird out of the nest to finally fly. Like, okay, here you go. You got your wings. And where am I going with this? So, be the DJ of your own party. Be the movie star. Like, are you the star in your own movie? Everyone has their own movie, which is their life. And are you the star in it? Or are you like the supporting actor? So I'm looking back at like friendships, and I'm gonna go and just chill somewhere because it's really windy. And I know this is live to YouTube. And if I were someone who needed to hear this message, I would at least want to make sure that the audio is good. So maybe I can like I don't want to stand by the bank. Like some dude in a veteran's jacket standing by the bank by the ATM. Like that looks kind of sketchy. I'm gonna find a spot here. Are you the star in your own movie? Are you holding yourself back? Raphael, he's like 20 or 21, going to school full time, and IMC Nation, we have a family, and it is strongly encouraged to meet up with other IMC Nation members. So for the longest time, I've been putting it off. I can't remember his name. He like lives somewhere north of me. We're supposed to meet up this last summer, but something fell through, probably on my end because I was working all the time. But Raphael, man, he's on fire. And one thing I noticed about AZD during the lectures during the daytime, he just recently changed the name. If you'd like to be my guest this Friday, men 18 and up, message me. It's at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's open. Mastermind University, that's what it's called now. Pretty much graduated. He will call upon some of the men that are attending the advanced beast camps. Why do I know this? Because when I was attending advanced beast camps, sometimes he'd call upon me to give a good example of what they're learning. And some of the stuff is advanced. And I just look back of like when I had the money to invest in the advanced beast camps, going out live, attending some of the VIP parties, and just coming back here. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing with my life? I got to do something. I can't just sit here because I may repeat myself many times, but I think it's important to share. I had shiny object syndrome. So I would get all excited, invest my money on this program or this trip, go on this weekend seminar and get all pumped up full of adrenaline and cortisol, only to come back home and like within a matter of like a week, go back to my old ways. And I'm at a church right now. I've always thought about coming in this church. I think it's Catholic, but I just always feel at peace when I come to a church. I'm actually going to sit here now because I don't think it's too windy here. And I was thinking back like, oh man, this is almost 10 years ago. Going to LA. Shout out to my friend slash business partner or former business partner, I guess we could say, because we kind of went our own ways, Troy, who got me in the entertainment industry. While I was going to school at Full Sail, we went out to LA with a team of directors, producers to film the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin. Troy was connected with a writer that was writing the film, and she was actually like talking with some of the members of the Rat Pack and their family and what she could add to the story, what she had to leave out. And we were in the process of finding some producers to invest in the film. Now, when you reach out to an actor, like let's think an A-list actor, like who'd be a good actor for a Rat Pack film? Let's say Jeremy Renner, the guy that played Hawkeye in the Avengers. Or think of like an A-list actor that you would like to star in your movie. Like when I see Kenny Simmons, I don't know, maybe Jason Statham would be a good actor to play Kenny Simmons in his own movie. Well, in order to afford the actor, you have to have some investors that are willing to invest in the movie. Well, some investors don't want to invest unless there's other investors in it, or you have an A-list producer. Let's say Michael Bay. He did the like Transformers movies and Bad Boy movies, I think. So you're kind of like, I wouldn't want to say tug of war, but you're like this person in the middle negotiating and like, okay, I want this much money, I want this actor, I want this producer, and oh my God, I think we were out there for like a week and a weekend. I was out there twice, and it's just I felt like I belonged there. It was really interesting. The traffic sucked, and I knew it's like if I live out here, I'm gonna live where I work. And here I am, fast forward 10 years later, my tribe is out there. I think there's one base right now in LA working on two. One of them is really pushing me to move out there, saying I have a job. I would just have to save up and like make sure I'm able to afford rent and advanced beast camps because in order to live at a base, you have to be attending the advanced beast camps, at least online. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where I go out and move somewhere and then I lose everything and have to move back. Kind of like the situation I was when I was living in Orlando. I'll never forget last month of rent. I think Troy like ended up moving like a week early or something. And I don't want to share too much of him. Shout out to Troy. Thank you so much for getting the entertainment industry. I'm finally doing something with it now. Um, but like the last night at the house I was at, beautiful house down in Orlando, all to myself, and leaving and just thinking like, huh, like what happened? Like I specifically moved down here for multiple reasons. And here I am, fast forward like a few years later, moving back up. What happened? And I was number two in that story too. Troy was number one. I was number two. I was behind the scenes. Look at him. This is the man. Don't look at me. Move back up here. And then things that AZD is sharing on his Instagram Live for free. I was a freeloader and YouTube. Finally, things were like hitting home. And I had the same goals and aspirations. I wasn't getting any younger. And AZD was sharing things like things about being disciplined. And like here I am going to my favorite school, learning like amazing things and still not having the discipline and like the courage, the confidence to make a move, to go for my goals. I'll never forget one of the first classes I had to do like the last they were like monthly classes, monthly courses. And a lot of times like the last the last month you'd have to do a video of yourself, whether it was speaking, a PowerPoint. Most of the time it was my voice talking with a PowerPoint or keynote. And I like that the most because I couldn't imagine doing a live presentation for even a few minutes. Not only that, like maybe 10, 15 minutes in front of a class. So I like keynote PowerPoint presentations because all you do is hear my voice and I could hit pause whenever I had to cough, drink water, go over my notes. Well, one of the classes, it was actually an extra credit, something of a expression. God, I gotta look back at that. Well, it was me mixing two of my favorite songs together and kind of showing like as if I was teaching someone this is how you beat match two different songs together, DJ. And I'm like, oh my God. And then my professor said, do this, this, and this, and you'll be successful at it. I'm like, oh wow, okay, great. And I was always like, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'll push it off until later. And here I am approaching 10 years later, and like, what am I doing? Like, here I am finally doing something with it, but still holding myself back. So one thing I love seeing in myself is having fun, taking photos and videos. This last event that we had in Milwaukee, I ended up getting yelled at by one of my best friends, I consider a brother, a DJ, from taking too much video because I was constantly taking video of him. And he had to like yell at me. He didn't yell at me. He raised his voice and told me what I was doing. And I'm like, oh, I realized it. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing. But imagine you doing something that you enjoy doing and having someone on there with the camera on you the whole time. And I was just thinking like a couple photos and videos that one of the DJs slash professional photographers were taking of me. I just feel a certain way. Let's say like Kenny is doing his morning beast routine outside, and all of a sudden someone comes up and points their camera at him the whole time. Maybe he'd feel a certain way. Now, if it was in good intention, if someone was live streaming to my YouTube channel or IMC or like private Telegram beasting group, I'd be like, okay, but still, I still feel a certain way. And then lo and behold, so did I quit? Did I put my phone down and say, sorry guys, I'm leaving and go home and drink myself stupid? Or did I apologize and like hold that down as an anchor in my mind? Okay, next time, only take a couple photos, videos, ask him first. And I told him, I'm like, next time you're ready or you want me to take a little bit of this, just give me the nod. And Eric, he took some photos of me. I posted one of them, and it's me smiling behind the text. And I'm like, oh my God, I finally made it. Now, there was like a handful of people on the dance floor. I always prefer to play opening set because, for one, I'm nervous. And when people start coming in and they're looking at you and they're depending on you to keep the crowd going and the party going, that does something for someone. So I prefer right now. I'm eventually working my way up. And shout out to my RBMC crew. We've been having these private chats with some of the top guys in the Midwest throwing this New Year's Eve party. And I was suggesting all these DJs around here that could play on our stage. And then one of them, shout out to Jacob, said, hey, what about you? What are you going to play? I'm like, if I can play opening set on our stage, oh my God, that'd be such a blessing because you have to give credit where credit's due. Like, remember who started it, who brought who together, and you're as strong as your tribe. I tried the lone wolf thing, failed miserably. I kind of feel like I'm doing it out here, but being able to do this and like have the conversation I had with Kenny earlier, live stream, show up, when we found out AZD wasn't having class today because they're making things happen in LA. Phoenix messaged the Telegram group like, okay, who's live streaming? Trent threw up the Zoom link, and then there was like four of us on there. Anton, I think, showed up too, and we were sharing some real personal things where it's like you wouldn't even share with your friends or family. I mean, you should, but it's just I would bring this stuff up to some of my friends and family, and they can look at me like, huh? So, God, where am I going with this? Oh, be your own hero. If anything you like to share, Kenny or add, and if not, I'll keep going. Keep going. All right. So back to when I went out to LA. See, having the right plan, having the right team. It's like, oh man, Airbnb we stayed at, and renting a car and going out and meeting with some actors that were there that were helping us that had experience. Well, we just being out there, talking about it when you're at home or on the phone with your team is one thing, but when you're at the actual place, that does something for someone. And I wish shout out to Troy once again because I never like feel like I apologized to him, but I wish I did more. Like I was afraid to take action. He took some big steps, And I think that's one thing I was afraid of like taking too big of a step where I'd make a big mistake, a real big costly mistake where I could never forgive myself. And then I forgot to mention this. The photo that you saw of me in the hospital, uh, someone asked me, what was going on in my mind when I was laying in the hospital bed there. And I was thinking of like all the bad decisions I made in the past or the moves that I didn't make, like wishing that you made that move in that business or on that girl or you know that family member you wish you apologized to or forgave, and it's like you can still do it. And how many chances is someone really going to get where it's going to be too late? And that's how I felt. I've been having difficulty breathing for the last month, thinking I had COVID. One of my last patients in my previous job had COVID. I got tested, came back negative. I got tested again last week, came back negative. And I knew when COVID first came out that I had it, even though the results came back negative. But I was bedridden for almost a week. And I remember Elon Musk got tested 4 times in a row. Three came back negative, three came back positive. So how are my health decisions? How are my health choices? Have I been beasting regularly? Have I been meditating? Not just eating and drinking healthy things, but I mean, and positive thoughts, stoic affirmations, reading the Bible, and reading whatever, listening to something that enlightens you, not just makes you happy, but also makes you think and you have that aha moment. And like correcting yourself when you have a negative thought or an impure thought, or like me, thinking I need a caffeinated beverage, whether it's coffee or energy drink, 5 hour energy, thinking I was smart from switching from Bang to Celsius, because although Celsius does have less caffeine and more vitamins, it's still caffeine. So if I have it's like alcohol for me. If I had one drink, I'd be fine, alcoholic or caffeinated beverage. But then I have more, then I crave more, and that's where I caught myself. And thank you, Kenny. We had, in my opinion, one of the best transmutation ministry lives yet. Check it on IMC TV. We're going live next Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. If anyone would like to be a guest on Transmutation Ministry or Beyond Clarity, let me know. It's what we do. We are messengers. And someone out there needs to hear your story from you. So stop holding yourself back and keep showing up. But for me, let's say I go on my morning walk, I don't start my new job until January 2nd. And thank God I kept searching because this is a job I'm actually going to like. I can already see it. I would think I had to have my coffee a certain way when I go on my morning walk. Or let's say workout. Or let's say my previous job. I thought I had to have like a caffeinated drink. I would put 5 hour energy in my tea. Fresh squeezed lemon, pink Himalayan sea salt, 5 hour energy, some type of berry flavor, and one like green tea packet. That's how I had to have. And if I didn't have 5 hour energy in my tea, oh boy, watch out. I felt a certain way. So sometimes I would have a second energy drink. And what would that lead to? Something very sugary later on that evening. And what did that lead to? The Sunday night was a prime example. A few alcoholic beverages. And before I know it, I'm sitting there like, this is why I quit drinking. Something just doesn't feel right. To me, it's like poison. Like these are actual drugs. And I'm probably gonna get things on YouTube, but I don't care because this has to get out there. These are actually actual drugs we are putting in our body that we think we need. And that was another title I was gonna put on. It was gonna be Baby, Would You Escape the Matrix with Me? I'm gonna be posting that photo later. It came up in my previous stories from like a year ago. I think it's a man holding like a box, like a ring that you put in it, and it says POV on bended knee, and it's a button, a red button that says Escape the Matrix. So thinking my caffeine addiction happened when active duty military. I think I was 19 or 20, Minot, North Dakota. Why not Minot? The coldest it got was 60 below the wind chill. And that's why I don't complain about winters here in Wisconsin anymore. But I'm just like, oh my God, why would someone want to live here? Well, there was this warm caffeinated beverage that the guys, I thought these guys were cool. And come to find out, a lot of them probably hated their life and they would talk down to me and belittle me. And a lot of times, reasons why they're drinking coffee is because they're drinking alcohol the night before. They're hungover, dehydrated, and needed something to help them perk up. So I started drinking coffee. I'm like, okay, the stuff isn't bad. I had to put creamer in it. I was young, putting sugar in it, and I realized what I was doing to myself. I'd put eggnog in it. I'm like, this stuff's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna be smart. If I'm gonna have a couple drinks before, on a work night, I'm just gonna drink coffee the next day. And I'll never forget one of the summers I worked on a base, just doing some extra work, and this guy now, like probably around my age, would sometimes like go like that with his hand. Like his hand would start cramping up, and he's like, "What's going on with me?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I like indirectly, politely suggested that he drink more water because he was drinking a lot of coffee, probably a pot a day, and then I'd rarely see him drink water. And I'm just thinking like, okay, you're dehydrated. That's why. And then thinking like, where am I going with that? And then when I was laying there in the bed in the hospital emergency room, and some of the doctors and nurses were saying things like blood clots, pneumonia. That's what I really thought I had. And that reminds me, I have to be careful how long I am outside because the cold day here. And one of them said heart attack. And I'm just thinking like, that's the last thing I want to hear. But as as long as you're like being truthful, like thinking of the stress I was going through and the caffeine intake I was taking. So it's like, how healthy was I that day that I had too much caffeine and then sugar and then alcohol? Like, what was that doing to my body, my heart? That's a really cool looking shirt you got there, Kenny. Is that an owl or a cat or a fox? What's that design in your shirt? Wow, that is really cool. A wolf. That's a really cool looking shirt. Spirit animal. Quick side story. I thought my spirit animal was a lion because I'm a Leo. But not only a wolf, but literally a werewolf came to me in a vision during let's just say advanced Reiki session. And you know what's even crazier? Kenny posted a photo of that wolf. You can't make this stuff up. That reminds me, I gotta go back and get that photo because I lost everything on my phone. When I lost everything, my pet, my little precious, all my photos, all my contacts, all my passwords, all my apps that I needed, gone. Why did that happen? Everything happens for a reason. And here I am still using this old new phone. It's an older phone, so I'm downloading older versions of apps. But you know what? I can still live stream on Zoom, on YouTube. So I have everything that I need. That and Gaia. Okay, what was I saying? So back to my LA story. It's not over. I am gonna move out there. I'm gonna live there for a while and eventually start my own base somewhere warm. That's what I see myself doing. I could do it here, I kind of have. In a way, I created a tribe. I co-created the tribe, RBMC. I couldn't have done it without two of the co-founders, Flo and Jacob, and then the members they brought in, and we just keep growing and expanding. It has been easy, and I have been making mistakes, but we've been learning to work with each other. We all make mistakes. But first, before you come at someone for their mistake, ask them like, "Hey, is everything okay?" I'll never forget. I was working another summer job at one of the bases I was at, and I was in the process of um, out processing or in processing, whatever you call it. I kind of like brain dumped all that stuff now that I'm out. Honorably retired, 20 years in. I don't start collecting until I'm 58 and a half, but still, oh, it just feels so good to know that I got my time in. Now I'm serving on my terms. Um, I'll never forget. I was doing work orders. I was busy with work orders because there you have, sometimes you have like two, maybe three bosses, maybe even more. I was doing work orders, and I was also uh, getting things checked off for my deployment. You have to like see certain people and I'll process for a deployment. And I was actually behind. And my supervisor at the time was getting on my case. And I didn't know how to speak up for myself. And I want to tell him, like, I'm overwhelmed because I got one boss telling me this, another boss telling me this. And it's like, okay, which one is it? But I'll never forget. His supervisor reached out to me and asked me if I was okay. Because people people come at you. Like I've learned a few members of my tribe here. I'm not going to say, but quite a few of us are taking care of a loved one, whether it's our mom or dad. And whether they have a good relationship with them or not, that can take a toll out of someone. So before the day comes where you regret, like you wish you would have said something to them, say it now. And trust me, it wasn't easy, but I got it out. Because my dad is like a man of a few words, and sometimes they're not the best words, but just being able to get it out. And I tell you what, I was surprised, but I was happy when I heard this from him because he's got some friends getting him back into going to church here. The pastor was talking about gratitude, and one thing he shared with me very briefly was that he's actually grateful for how things have been going with his health because it could have been a lot worse. So gratitude, attitude of gratitude every day. And there I went off tangent again. But back to LA. Our IMC Nation members, our tribe are out there making things happen. And I know now my next business plan, opportunity, wherever I go with this, I'm in the right tribe, the right group where I know they're in the right process. And we're under a contract. We're under IMC Nation contract where it's like, the process that your brothers are on. And if one of them falls off, you're going to get a polite accountability check. And that's one thing that I kind of like, if I can apologize to my former business partners, I would say, hey, sorry, this is what I was going through. Like, you would not believe this. Like, I remember I should have told one of my former business partners when he asked me what was going on. Like, dude, I'm depressed. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't. I have a hard time cold calling these customers when I'm not in the right state of mind. And if you're a cold caller, like a salesman, and you're having people F you and like belittling you, oh, it can do something to your psyche if you're not doing it right. And I wasn't training properly. Like I had all the tools there for me, but I wasn't using it right. So, and here I see my Ansi Nation tribe winning, making things happen out there, and here I am in this cold small town. I'm like, well, what am I doing here? But everything happens for a reason. I am here to build a good relationship with my father. Make things right for him. So when I am able to move away and I can afford a place of my own while investing in myself, my company, and also my father, knowing that his bills are paid and he has some preferably attractive young caregivers taking care of him. So I know he's in good hands. So I know he's in good hands, and that's good karma. And that's the thing too. I actually thanked every doctor and nurse when I was sitting in the emergency room. I'm like, I did like a year of low level healthcare work. I was giving disabled people safe rides to their appointments. And sometimes it wasn't easy. And towards the end, that's one reason why I stopped because it was getting more difficult. I don't know if I was taking on their energy or what, but I had a couple bad doctors and nurses. And then I did some research and I found out some of them reach a point in their career where they just get sick of their job and they won't care or they'll make some dangerous decisions for their patients. Or I had one bitch here. Oh, ding, ding on YouTube. Who, if say, I assume Satan's a man, but she's like the female version of Satan, where it was just like as you raise your vibration, you see like something negative running these people. Like it wasn't her. Like it was almost like an entity or an apparition. Like a witch running her. And it's like, God, I can only imagine what your personal life is like. I'll never forget when I first got on an Adderall prescription. I was asking my like psychiatrist, the VA in Milwaukee, like would it be wise to take vitamins? And she told me straight up, oh no, that doesn't do anything. I'm like, what? Like, I forgot what vitamin it was, like zinc or something. And here's this out of shape nurse or like psychiatrist that probably has her doctor's degree, doesn't look healthy, and here she is prescribing me things and telling me what's healthy. What does that tell you? And I'll mention it again. IMC Nation AZD process, monks with attitude, help me quit prescription drugs. I'll leave it at that. Um, so are you the hero of your story? Are you the star in your movie? Are you the DJ of your party? Man. And whether it's going out with your friends and enjoying a night or just going for a walk and being peaceful and doing things that you love, like one of my favorite things, and I shared this, I'll never forget when I started going live on Zoom Beyond Clarity. Like a lot of times it was only me, Kenny, Phoenix, sometimes Arian, other IMC Nation members that will come and go. But I'd be drinking coffee, walking down my favorite road, tuning in nature, and just having a conversation like this. And I told them, like, I'm going to be getting paid to do this one day. And it's not about the money, but I tell you what, when you're earning a comfortable living, a full time income where you can support yourself, your family, that loved one that maybe have some things going on with them that need a little extra support, oh man, you're not working a day in your life. And then you're able to give more. So, one thing I'll never forget when I was helping with a feature film that was based off a video game that was like zombies, like a militia, army, military that came together to fight off zombies. One of the directors slash producers in our meeting said that everyone that's here will be getting paid when the money comes in, and we have a high level production company that wants to invest with us because everyone came out there for free. They brought their camera equipment, their time. We had makeup artists, their energy. We had actors, and just the energy off of that. I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to give and do this, and that's the same with RBMC. We are on the process of earning a full-time income by doing what we love, giving more, providing a space where people can freely express themselves with no judgment, and spreading unconditional love. That's my kind of party. You don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. You don't need that crutch. You got everything in you, and you can do it naturally. And going out and seeing AZD run a whole party, an entire event, and what the things he said, it's like I can't even remember. I wish I recorded. I'm gonna ask next time, like, can I record everything you say? Because there was so much power and energy there where it's like, oh my God. And here I come back home, not really knowing what to do, but I gotta do something. And here we are, 2.5 years in the process. And it's like, oh, if we keep this up, where are we gonna be 2.5 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And I knew when I was younger, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, a drunken chicken with my head cut off, mind you. I knew deep down inside that one day things were gonna get better. And here we are. Welcome home. That's my kind of party. Show up for yourself, show up for others, keep showing up.